And now to a major court win this week for a candidate for Pierce County Council. This is former Seattle Police Guild President Mike Solan. He won a pretty significant challenge on Monday so that his candidacy for District 7, the position on the council, can move forward. This covers Gig Harbor and parts of unincorporated Pierce County, out of the Key Peninsula, if you know that area at all. That's the district that that he would represent. The incumbent there, who is Democrat Robyn Denson, she is not seeking reelection after just one term. Now, the Pierce County Auditor moved within just a couple of days of Mike Solan filing for candidacy during filing week, which was that May 4th to the 7th, so earlier this month. He filed, and then a few days later found out that the Pierce County Auditor was challenging that, basically framing the fact that, yeah, you may have lived here for 4+ years in the district you seek to represent, but you have not been a registered voter during that time. And so that was the challenge. But a judge ultimately sided with Mike Solan, basically saying the charter language was rewritten in the process and Solan's name will stay on the ballot. Here's part of my conversation with Mike Solan earlier today.
So I filed for candidacy on May 4th, and I was then notified 3 days later in the afternoon, just hours before the final day was to start, where you couldn't file anymore. And they told me, the auditor's office told me, the manager there said that, hey, we've rejected your candidacy, you're filing, based upon what their perception was violating charter language. I was kind of curious as to that, and I asked them, well, how did you become aware of this, using your words, not being qualified to even file for candidacy? They said, well, we're going to cite section 4.30 of the charter language, which says you must establish 1 year residency and voter registration. And I said, just out of curiosity, I can establish 1 year residency. I've been here for almost 5 years, and I have no problem providing a court affidavit which says so. But has anybody ever been challenged with the voter registration component of that? And he didn't really have an answer for me. And I was like, okay. In my mind, I'm like, something's going on here, because I have a hard time believing that I was just randomly reviewed on that component of what seems to be innocuous and nuanced as well at the same time on voter registration. So to me, when I asked them, did anybody give you a heads up on this in terms of my voter registration timeline? And then that influenced your decision. And of course, they couldn't answer that either. So for me, I was pretty sure that there were some shenanigans afoot. And the gamesmanship, the politics was already starting. And mainly because I think that they're scared I have a chance of winning. And well, it turns out that they thought I was going to roll over. And that's not me. And I hadn't even really launched my campaign, but I already just started really advocating for the constituency in Pierce County. And so I filed a lawsuit and I won.
I did reach out directly to Pierce County Auditor Linda Farmer requesting an interview about the attempt to keep Solan off the ballot. And we were told she was busy today. She was attending some meetings and could not accommodate an interview on short notice. But we were then offered an interview with Katie Blinn. And Katie is the Assistant Chief Deputy Attorney who provides legal counsel to the Pierce County Prosecuting Attorney's Office. And she explained to me that yes, they ultimately lost this challenge, but she said that initially the judge agreed that Pierce County's charter, the way it is written for candidates, does in fact state that you have to be a registered voter tied to your physical address for at least a year before you can file to be a candidate to represent that district. But ultimately, the judge said, Really, that's just too high a bar.
The charter can establish county elected office and then also establish the qualifications for those offices and requirements to file for office. The judge agreed with the county on that the charter allows the county to set qualifications for county office. But then the second legal argument was, is this particular requirement of having a year of voter registration in addition to a year of residency just too high a bar, essentially? Does it violate equal protection? The theory being filing for office is a fundamental right, and that requires a compelling state interest in order to impinge on that right. And the court concluded that the year of residency already satisfies any interests, a compelling interest that the government has in making sure that candidates are familiar with their communities in order to file for office, and requiring the year of voter registration, essentially. There's just not a need for that over and above the year of residency. But it's also possible that there could be an appeal on this matter later. There was the state Supreme Court did take up a similar argument even after a candidate had won a general election, because there were questions outstanding on her eligibility to serve. So after she won the general election, the state Supreme Court still did accept review on the legal matter, because there was still essentially a legal challenge that challengers wanted to pursue.
We also reached out to Democratic candidate Brenda Likens, who is potentially going to be the one to face off, likely to be advancing after the August primary to face off against Mike Solan, assuming he advances beyond the primary. We did not hear back from her campaign today. She's a former Gig Harbor City Council member who now serves on the Pierce County Charter Review Commission. And Chuck West is also a Peninsula School Board member who is retired Key Peninsula Fire Department member, battalion chief, actually. He's running as an independent for the office as well. So it'll be after the August primary. We find out who moves on and where all of this goes. But that's an update on that very interesting race, one we promise to keep on top of for you.